Yes, sir, you are. Yes, sir. So, good evening, esteemed members of Team Research Foundation of India, our distinguished session expert, Dr. Kunal Soni, sir, and all dear participants. I'm delighted to extend a warm welcome to each of you as we gather for these intellectually enriching 10-day training and faculty development program on advanced tools and techniques for research methodology. This initiative is proudly organized by the Research Foundation of India, RFI-CARE, in association with Shodh Malwa and VPIT with generous sponsorship from Eklavya University, JHARF, Academic Research Guide Association, and Edu Academic Inc. Before we proceed, I would like to highlight the commendable work being done by the Research Foundation of India, committed to uplifting society and enhancing educational standards. RFI promotes Indian research through various events, including international and national conferences, seminars, workshops, symposiums, and other activities. RFI serves as a catalyst for integrating intellectual ideas globally, striving to satisfy humanity's thirst for innovation. At its core, RFI is dedicated to enriching the educational process by fostering a scholarly inquiry and facilitating the practical application of research outcomes. Additionally, RFI leads research and development initiatives in higher education by establishing strategic partnerships with leading universities across India through Memorandum of Understanding. Its membership comprises faculty, researchers, graduate students, and distinguished professionals, all contributing their diverse expertise to educational research. Notably, RFI operates independently of governmental sponsorship, ensuring autonomy and integrity in organizing over 1,000 international conferences, workshops, faculty development programs, symposia, and more worldwide. Currently, RFI boasts 87 chapters in India and 18 chapters across Asia and beyond, organized into five distinct boards representing the West, East, South, North, and Central regions. Now, allow me the privilege of acquainting each and every one of you with the esteemed presence of the most proficient and outstanding Dr. Kunal Soni, sir. Welcome, sir. He is an esteemed associate professor of finance and accounting at the School of Management, GSFC University, Vadodara. With a rich academic background spanning 10 years and an additional 3 years of industrial experience, he holds a diverse set of qualifications, including a BBA and MBA in finance, PhD in management, and various specialized diplomas. His remarkable contributions to the field are evident through 24 publications in widely recognized journals such as Scopus, ABDC, UGC Care, and Web of Science. Notably, he holds a patent under the Intellectual Property Rights Act 1970 from the Government of India for his innovative work on techno-innovation and growth of the Indian share market. His academic excellence is emphasized by winning three Best Research Paper awards at international conferences sponsored by UGC and AICTE. Acknowledged as the best faculty of management department at Parul Institute of Management, he has also been a sought-after resource person and a session chair at over 20 B schools, UGC, HRDCs, and research institutes across India. As a dynamic educator, he imparts knowledge through training sessions on analytical software like SPSS, AMOS, Smart PLS, eViews, Advanced Excel, and R program. His commitment to continuous learning is demonstrated by his participation in over 20 faculty development programs, organized by prestigious institutions such as IIM Ahmedabad and IIM Visakhapatnam. Having presented 19 research papers at national and international conferences, along with conducting 70 seminars and workshops, he stands as a beacon of expertise and innovation in the realm of finance, accounting, and management. So, once again, let us extend a warm welcome to the esteemed Dr. Kunal Soni, sir. And today, he will be delving into the topic of writing research papers or report and understanding impact factor and publication facets. With that, I kindly request Dr. Soni, sir, to please begin his presentation. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam, for the brief introduction. Thank you. Yeah. Just confirm the screen sharing. Yeah, it's visible.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Good evening, all of you. So once again, welcome to all for this faculty development program on research, and understanding the publications and methodological findings. So this is a 10 years, 10 days of, deep diving into research parameters, terminologies, So these are the various initiatives that we always taken up as a part of Research Foundation of India. And we always believe in, the journey of research among the academician, and through which we are continuously organizing such kind of faculty development program, workshop, conferences, seminars, we are welcoming you all on this first day of faculty development program. So, research is an ongoing journey, and, research is a core component of every faculties, if at all they want to grow, even they want to create their own understanding, deep understanding, not only for yourself, but at the same time, the target audience to whom we are representing, that is none other than the own students, right? So we always believe that whatever things that we are learning in a day-to-day life, that we are always putting up into, in terms of the research parameters. So the nomenclature says that whatever we are seeing it, and whatever we are learning as a part of, some definition or some theoretical aspect, we'll have some basic foundation, things that we are looking for. But how to create more understanding, how to create the topic into the important terminologies, how to make this topic to be understandable among the students, that's where the data plays a pivotal role. And data always brings the people nearest to the truth, and the nearest to the rationality part. And that's why it's very important to understand the importance of the data. And at the same time, once we understand the importance of the data, it is always be important that we should digest this, data in terms of research analysis into day-to-day life. What is the benefit of this? Somebody might ask, what is the benefit of doing such kind of practices and, such kind of initiatives? So I would like to add on this point that if at all we are doing such parameters and practices, what is the core benefit that we are receiving is the sharpness of that particular faculty is going to be increased, because as a faculty, as a lecturer, if I'm going into my class, and if at all I'm teaching one of the concept through some definition, characteristics, advantages, disadvantages, that is known things, right? Today is an era where people know how to use chat gpt. So everything and, every aspect is available on chat gpt on fingertips. So I think that role has already been vanished as a part of the faculties. So now what is the requirement of from the faculty side, by the students, by the parents, by the community, is to have, the practical discussion, practical understanding, to knowing the concept, to learning the concept through the practical aspect, through the practical parameter, is now a need of an hour, right? That we cannot deny it. And when I'm saying this particular statement, so I'm saying this particular statement with full of responsibility, that if at all we are teaching any concept to the students with some facts, figures, some practical aspect, So the understanding that students can develop and the that students can establish with the concept and the practical application is having some importance, is having some values. That's where we are also talking about the correlation between industry and academia, right? So we are bringing more nearest to the practical scenario of to the students when we are talking about research, data, and all such factors. So writing a research report is also an art. Under the research report, you have to consider various parameters, various tools, various agendas. And at the same time, once we have written the research report, we also need to understand where to publish, how to make an effort to get published, right? So there are so many parameters are there that we have to see to it. And accordingly, we have to proceed further. So with that note, and with this introductory, speech, I would begin my presentation with this today's topic, writing a research report and understanding important factors, right? So, yeah. So the first and foremost thing when we talks about writing of the research report is, the title is must one of the most important parameter that we all have to see in the research, right? The first selection criteria, if at all you are planning to have, approach towards the quality journals. So the first and foremost criteria that every journals are looking for is the title of the topic, right? Now, I want to make this question open for all. I just want a clarification from your understanding. You tell me first the title will be decided and then we should proceed for the research parameters in terms of sample, data analysis, finding, conclusion, objective, or else we should complete all this aspect of research like data, samples, data analysis, finding, conclusion, and then we will finally decide the title. What should be the appropriate way to put forward? Can I have the
I
answers?
think
Yes, please.
I think first of all we have to plan the study and
Right.
implement. Then only we can plan out of the title.
Perfect. So rightly said. So we have to plan out the study, right? So that plan out the study, it stands for, that plan out the study, by knowingly or unknowingly, right? Every researcher are doing from these parameters, right? Which is called EIC model. If at all we are going in econometrics, right? This is called EIC model. So where E stands for economy, I stands for industry, and C stands for company. Clear? So we always have to look forward the EIC model, right, which is called economic, industry, and company. Now, what this EIC model, look for and, they are proceeding for. So if at all we have decided, can I have one title where any particular researcher is working? So that we will take this title as a part of example and we'll proceed for the, complete explanation. Can I have the rough title? Anybody would like to share? So I'll help you out to, make your title to be in appropriate frame. Okay, no issue. So let's say we are planning to have consumer perception towards online banking, right? So consumer perception and online banking, this is two criteria. I don't know where to proceed, how to proceed, what should be my target area, where I have to focus. So I have to decide where I have to proceed. So firstly, we will decide based on economy. So economy means it's a very broad term. Let's say if I am from India, then for my economy is India. But am I going to make this consumer perception towards online banking at the pan India level, right? Should I break it from the pan India to state level? Should I break it from state level to city level or district level? Should I break it from district or city level to the corporation, regions? What could be my economy, right? So this parameter can I only be finalized when I have started, doing some research design for my study. right? So first of all, we have to design our research. We have to see the facts and figures. We also have to see the past, analysis, past reports, what they have done, if at all they have done from state level, what are the criteria that they have taken up, what is the reason for going into the state level, right? That could be notable things into research gaps from the every research paper. So these are the important facts and figures that we have to carry out as a part of deciding the economy. So this economy is decide the geographical location where you have to conduct your research. Right. Let's say somebody is saying that I want to do the research in Indore city. Right. So okay, it's okay. You can go for Indore city. So Indore city is a location. So the parameter of E is, for that particular researcher is to be Indore city. Clear? Understood, everyone? So we are gradually deciding the parameters of title, right? What we have to do. Then industry, right? So consumer perception towards online banking. What industry will come into the picture? Which industry will come into the picture if I'm talking about industry for online banking for consumer perception? So the industry which come into the picture is banking, right? But even banking, we have so many other parameters. Am I going for PSU? Am I going for private? Am I going for cooperative? Am I going for RRB? Am I going for NBFC? Which one? You getting it? Right. So if at all any researcher is planning to have deciding their title, they have to work out on these parameters. Am I going to make a comparison between PSU or private? Or I'm only going with RRB, right? So once I will make a tick mark on one of the parameters over here, gradually I'm moving towards the title finalization. So now I have decided that if at all I'm going for PSU, so I'll go for, a study on consumer perception towards online banking, right? For public sector unit, right? Rather, we can also decide a study on, a study on public sector, banks, a study on public sector banks, consumers, you know, perceptions towards the online banking, right? So kind of titles we can decide, right? And the C stands for company. If at all I'm going for public sector unit, am I going for SBI? Am I going for BOB? Am I going for Central Bank of India? Am I going for PNB? What I'm doing it, right? What is my target? Or am I going for all PSU banks? Or am I going for only selected public sector banks? So once I have the idea about each and every parameters, now I'm ready for my title. Let's say I'm going for only SBI. So now my title will be remodified. A study on, State Bank of India consumers perception towards online banking with reference to Indore city. It's good. Sounds good. Sounds good. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
Right. But again, this is not a final title. This is the rough title that we have decided from the rough estimation. Right. So this approach is called funnel process. This approach is called funnel process, right? A funnel looks like that. It starts from the wide range and then finally it ends up with, the narrow down approach. So firstly, we have started with economy, but from economy, we have bring out to the industry, Indore. From industry, we have started multiple industry, but we have break up to banking sector. Then C, we have started with company. So company, we have firstly modified in terms of, PSU, private and all such. But even after PSU, we have decided on the State Bank of India, right? So for every parameter, we have approached this funnel approach, right? And finally, we have decided that SBI and Indore would be the one of the parameter. But again, in terms of consumer perception, there would be some, now we will play the game with the variables, right? When we are talking about the title decidation. So whenever you are proceeding further based on the fundamental knowledge that you will apply for the research, your title might vary depending upon the results that you are receiving in the future. And based on that results, you might change some variables. And even you can also replace the word called consumer behavior. And instead of consumer behavior, you might replace the consumer behavior with, the particular word that you are deriving out of your findings and conclusion. And once your finding and conclusion will be derived, you will try to match your title with the findings and conclusion. And that is where the the research is always about the synchronization process, starting from title to the findings and conclusion. So where is the synchronization process is required? So your research should always require synchronization between title. Then title should try to prove and should try to raise the questions or queries in terms of research gap. Based on gap, you have to derive the objectives of this study. You have to decide the objectives of this study. Based on objective, you have to decide the hypothesis of this study. Right. Title, gap, objective, hypothesis of this study. Based on objective hypothesis, you have to decide your data collection tools and techniques. Once your data collection tools and techniques has been finalized, you have to decide data analysis tools and techniques. Once your data analysis tools and techniques has been applied, you finally have the findings and conclusion. So once you receive these findings and conclusion, right, that is what I'm talking about. Right now, your title is, rough title based on this model. But once you reach at this level, whatever findings and conclusion that you are deriving, you have to replace your title based on the findings and conclusion. And that's where your title is appropriately framed once you will proceed with this step-by-step process of the research, which is called step-by-step guides to the research process. I hope it is clear. Yes or no?
Yes.
Any query in this part, or if at all you have tried any research paper where you stuck up at anywhere, so please ask me. No query? No query. Okay. And that's where, when you are proceeding with this process, it has been said that your research should stand out to be ethically correct, original, and significant. Right? Research should, the target for the today's session is to publish your paper into quality journal like Scopus, ABDC, Web of Science, and all such aspects. But why this journal will accept your research paper? If everybody is writing on the same topic, same problems, same area, from same, ideas and perception, then journals are not interested to publish your research paper again and again when already one researcher or two researcher or five researcher has already submitted those paper, nearest to the surrounding or idea or the problem. Then the question raised on the sixth writer or researcher that why this journal will accept your paper. So the simple answer to this question is, until and unless your paper should not have the X factor, that is in terms of some uniqueness into the research gap, then this journal will not accept your paper. Journal will always look forward, something extra thing that you are providing into the research. If at all you are providing repetitive works for the analysis, region, variables, parameters, then this journal is not interested. Otherwise, you are not doing research. You are just applying the results and you are trying to check whether it is applicable or not. This is not research. Research means, if at all you are providing 0.001% uniqueness into your gap, that also considered to be the research. But that 0.01% should be considered to be ethical, original, and significance to the society, where you can represent to the society that yes, your research has some significance, some importance into the market, and through which they can consider your research for the future reference and future study. And that should be noticeable to the society and it should be usable to the society. And that's where you are creating an importance of your research which will be usable for the society, and society will be beneficial as a whole. And that's where your research should always be in your focused area, because if you are doing research away from your focused area, then you are not having the mastery in your research work. And that's where I always believe that researchers should always stick to the one area or domain of their specialization in their study. Although when I'm saying this domain and area of specialization, it's also a broad area. Nowadays, the scenario has came out that people are not only restricted up to the domain or specialization, but they are restricted up to particular topic, and they are spending their entire life into that one particular topic to find out something new which is happening into the market. Let's say if I'm from finance, then in finance, if I'm using for fundamental analysis, then I'll spend entire life in fundamental analysis to find out certain new parameters. If I'm from behavioral finance, then I'll spend entire life in behavioral finance. Although this concept is not in India, because if you see the bibliometrics analysis for various countries where the researches are happening, then yesterday only I had one session for bibliometrics analysis through US viewer. So I had gone through one of the author based analysis where in the world where is the best researches are happening. So then I found out the best researches are happening into United Kingdom, that is in UK, Australia, and USA. So these are the three countries where, the researches are happening like anything, right? If the UK is looking like this, then India was looking like this. So still we have not reached at this level, but we are trying to reach. And if we want to trying to reach, we have to come out with this, uniqueness of the research. And that's where the journal will give you a platform to publish your paper, but only when the research is a focused area, uniqueness, and significant and ethically right. And that's where you should not forget that every research that you are publishing, you should keep one parameters to be reserved in terms of understanding the societal importance of your research work that you are doing for the society, right? Because if at all, if I talk about research proposal committees, like if in social science there is an ICSSR which is funded by government of India. So they are always saying one aspect to every researcher that whatever research you will bring out, at any cost the society should be beneficial. It could be any part of any community of the society. Let's say if you are doing for farmer, so your research should be such that you should bring out some analysis, some research on the farmer problems, how to increase the efficiency of the farmers. And that's where the government is ready to spend the money on that, right? So that is how you can enhance your research, you can enhance your visibility by proving this kind of research. And that's where the acceptance power of your research is going to be very wide in the societies. And this kind of things is only be done whenever you are already familiarized with the previous researchers that has already happened in your area or domain. That is called research gap, right? So how to get research gap? So research gap is nothing but the bridge between what has already been happened in the past and what you are trying to prove in this research work, right? So the difference between two aspects is called research gap. So research gap should be very, very important to proceed your entire analysis, entire research paper, right? Because whatever you will draft further aspect on the screen that you can see, you will draft your objective, hypothesis, data collection tools, data analysis tools, and findings and conclusions. So they are interlinked with the gap. So once your gap is properly identified, your variables, your objective, hypothesis, sample size, sampling techniques, research design, data collection tools, data analysis tools, and findings and conclusion, 12 to 13 parameters are linked with your research gap. So very, very important that you will justify research gap very properly, very efficiently based on the previous researches. That is called proper literature, which is called systematic literatures. Many softwares has been already been there in the research for literature review, like Zotero, Mindlay, where you can have the sufficient amount of keeping the references, and you will utilize for project wise management of the researchers references, and that references you can utilize for the literature review, systematic literature review, and all sort of further utilization that you are looking for in the research, right? So any questions so far? So now if you have, please ask me. Any questions, anything you want to ask which you have not understood, or you have already started your research journey, you were finding some problems? No questions?
So, could you please repeat how to make the systematic research, that particular thing?
Systematic literature or research.
Yeah, systematic literature. Systematic literature.
Systematic, systematic literatures, you always have to make it, either you can make it manually also, but now the scenario has gone. Now many softwares are available in the market to make a systematic literature review, like Zotero and Bandley, right? You can use any of them, right? Either you are putting the literature from the offline records, like from your folders of the PC, or you are putting the references directly from the website link, the URL. If you keep it in the URL into the software will catch and fetch the entire reports, starting from their abstract, the author's detail, keywords, major findings. So everything is available with you within a fraction of seconds on your portal or your screen through the utilization of that particular software. So instead of looking for the entire paper, right, when the software is providing this kind of platforms, so we must enhance this kind of software and make our research to be more enhanced, visible, and with reduced effort, with systematic approach, right? Because if at all we talks about abstract, so abstract is nothing but these are the important parameters that you have to look for the abstract, for the others researchers study. The difference between abstract and literature review is the literature review focused upon all these parameters like title, gap, objective, hypothesis from the other author's research. And abstract means we are writing these parameters only for our own research. I hope it is clear.
Sir. Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Right. Okay. Okay. Then collaborations and partnership. So examine collaborative efforts with other research institutions, right? So whenever you are planning to submit your research proposal, grant projects, major minor research project, funding projects, so you always have to make a tie-up with other industry partners, international collaborators, and many other peoples who can be the part of your research. Because I always say that research is a network activity and you have to collaborate with others so that your visibility, acceptability of the researchers is going to be very high. And try to collaborate with those institute, those researchers who have already built up their research profile, so that the acceptance chances will be higher. If at all you are the first time writer of the research paper, even you are planning to publish your research paper in Scopus, so you must need to tie up with those person who have already published their paper into Scopus. So the acceptability of getting your paper into published is going to be very high, because the journal understand that this paper has been drafted under the senior person, right, who have already published their papers into the our journals, right? So that is where things are going to be, matters a lot. Innovation and technology transfer, if at all you are focusing upon any topics, and that's where any innovation technological transfer has already been happened, so you must have to focus on these parameters as well, because research is always going to be happen on the recent topics, trends, and scenario. So that we also have to keep in our mind. Research infrastructure is very, very important when we are looking for, even this is not from your researcher point of view, but this is from the point of view of institute and university, where they wants to build eco-friendly, or they want to build some environment of research. So they must have to provide some research environment to the faculties and students, where they can have the access of various portal laboratory equipments, and there are some free access of the software where they can download the quality research paper for the references, and that's where they can publish their paper by putting those references as a part of the literature review. And that's where the impact that they are creating in their own research paper is going to be very unique. And believe me, all the Scopus and Web of Science journals are putting, or they are referring, whatever references that you will put in a references or bibliography part, they are from the Scopus and ABDC journals only. It should not be from the peer-reviewed journal. So that is where it is very, very important. Many of you might knowing, many of you are not knowing. So I'm giving this instruction in a very general point of view. If at all you are putting any references without cross-ref, that is, they are not putting, they are not from the quality journals. So they are not considering those kind of referencing and bibliography as a part of the consideration of any of the titles. So what happens is, if you are putting any references of the low graded journals, so what happens is, for whatever content as a part of systematic literature review, you have put those references. So those references has already been nullified, and that effect will goes to your systematic literature review where you have cited those particular authors. So then these research journals are considering that you have drafted this particular statement without any facts and figures. So what happens that if your references at the first instance is going to be, deselected, then, for granting your publication into these journals are getting much higher. And that's why there is a general practice among all the quality journals that if they were first doing the reference check from the file that you have submitted, and if at all they found out that more than 10% of your references are not from the quality, more than 10% of the references are from the below quality journals, then they will not accept your paper and they will straightforward send it back, this particular paper, by just putting the comment, "We are extremely sorry for considering this particular aspect." So this is a general and unanimous practice that we have to follow. Objectives in the research paper should be very clear, and I already told you that whatever objective that you will decide, it should be decided based on research gap. And once your objective has been decided, based on objective, you will frame the hypothesis as well, right? So every process is a chain process. If one process got delayed or wrong, then rest all the process will be depend based on that particular wrong process. So the entire activity is going to be waste time, efforts. So we have to be very cautious at every steps when we are proceeding for the research. Feasibility parts we have to manage in terms of money, in terms of time. So that is the responsibility of the researcher. Appropriate methods, whenever your titles has been finalized based on research gap, you are almost on the path of deciding whether you are proceeding for your research topic based on qualitative or quantitative mode of data collection, right? So, and based on that, you also have to consider the ethical implications. So ethical implications in terms of both, if at all you are doing literature review, then you should not copy paste the others idea. If at all you are considering data collection, so you must have to ensure the private considerations of the respondent. So everywhere you have to take care of your stakeholders, to whom you have by whom they have provided the the gentle help for supporting to your research. So it is your responsibility that you should take care of them as well. Data collection tools, you can decide based on the method of analysis you have decided, whether you are going for quality or quantitative. If you are doing for quality, you must have to go for interview, or if you are going for quantity, then you can go for this aspect. So based on the methods you have decided, your analytical tools has been decided. As I told, that research is a continuous and chain based process. So one process will decide the other process, right? So one process got wrong at this point of time, then the entire activity will go into the dustbin, right? So it's very important that you should focus upon it, and you must have to ensure and clarify at every process that whatever you have decided, it should be clear and very appropriate on ground reality. Then once through the appropriate data collection tools you have collected data, you need to design and you must need to validate the reliability and validity. That means your data should be reliable, consistent. If at all they are failed to meet the criteria, then you have to recollect those data, but you cannot carry forward or you cannot continue based on this aspect. Appropriate analysis methods. So based on objectives, you have to apply appropriate data analysis tools and techniques. It should not like that you should apply or you should proceed with any unanimous statistical tools, but you have to be very cautious in terms of applying those data analysis tools and techniques. So yeah, that is where you have to focus. Interpret the results. So results discuss the findings in the context of your research questions, right? So once the results has been derived, you have to provide the appropriate interpretation for your research process. That's where you can provide findings will decide your title. As I told based on whatever findings you will decide. Now after doing this much process, you will now make changes in the title if needed by looking at these findings and conclusions. right? So this is how the process is going. It's a chain-based process. Structure of your paper. So basically, whenever you are focusing upon research, so basically research paper is having 5 parts. 1 is introduction, 2 is literature, 3 is methodology, 4 is result and discussion, and 5 is conclusion. Right. Normally, this is a part of it, but yes, whenever you are going for Scopus, ABDC, quality journals, so the journal are having, there's some own criteria, but those criteria are within this 5 chapters window. There would be possible that a few criteria of chapter 3 would be considered in chapter 1, or interchange. Otherwise, things are going to remain same. For that, you have to always refer the author's guideline for sure, and that's where you will get an appropriate idea which journal is focusing upon which parameters and which tools. So that's create and that's enhance your visibility power. Use a clear language, right? Always try to see that your research paper is going to be utilized by each and every person in the world, whether they are connected with your field or not. That's where the acceptability, enhanceability in the market is going to be noticed when your research paper is not based on the technical jargons, but you should use very clear and concise language so even a layman person can read and understand what your paper is saying and what you are trying to prove. And that's where the language should be very clear and precise. Then references at the last portion you are trying to put in your research paper. So that references should be in whatever appropriate format that journal is focusing upon, you have to provide, right? It should be APA, MLA, Chicago. Then in a nutshell, out of all this idea, you have to stay updated for the research work, because it's very important that what is already been done, you should not repeat those tasks, but you should always try to do what else we can provide to the society as a whole. That could be the unique title of the research paper, where the acceptability of this kind of title is going to be very high in the research journals, right? You always see the reflect and improve. There might be possibility that whenever you are trying to submit your research paper into quality journals, many times you must have to face the rejections, but you should not demoralize for such kind of rejections, but you have to try, because this kind of rejections will give you an idea for the further improvement. So you try to understand where you have made a mistake rather than going to be demoralized. You have to try to understand your mistake, identify the mistake, try to work upon, resubmit it. Even it comes again rejections, try to identify those mistakes again, and finally you will be able to succeed, right? So this is trial and error process which you always have to keep doing it rather than losing the hopes, right? So hope is very, very important as far as the quality publications and citation does matters. And for that, you always have to build your network through attending various conferences, workshops, seminars, where you will try to meet the different researchers from your domain areas, and through which you can collaborate for the research effort, right? And you should also collaborate with the experts to whom you are listening and to whom you are finding convenient, even if you find me to be convenient, right? So you should always be connected with me for the research aspect. So this is chain-based process. It's not an overnight journey. You have to constantly take a guidance, support, and through which you can enhance your research journey, right? So yeah, you should always collaborate with the experts who are having the knowledge of research, who is constantly serving the knowledge of research, and that's where you can improve your research aspect. Why citation does matter for the academician? Yes, for the academic progress and promotion, designation, all such aspects are there where research makes a difference. And university rankings, we all know that when we are going for NEC criteria or any other accreditation criteria, so research fundamentals are having high criteria, so for which you have to make research. So does anybody have any idea what is H index? Quickly, anyone is having idea what is H index? What is H index? Do anyone have H index? Today is very silent. The first time is happening. Nobody's answering. Anybody is having H index? No one is having? Okay, no issue. Okay, so university affiliation for all such aspect, even university wants to keep affiliation with institute wants to keep affiliation with university wants to keep affiliation with such agencies for quality indexes, so for which research from the academician does required, and as a whole university can represent the quality performance, and that's where the quality assurance certificate can be gettable. Why to increase citation score? Obviously, if your citation score get increased, so Google will automatically fetch your suggestions to the researcher on various research platforms like Google Scholar, Schemago, Discover AI, right? So these are the portal through which researcher can get the researcher's identity, profile, research concept, topics, idea, papers. All such factors will be available, but how the how the machine or how the research portal will suggest your paper to the researcher only when it has been accepted by the society as a whole, right? So if Google is noticing that your research paper has been cited by 20 people already, and the 21 people is already started working on this topic on Google Scholar, they are finding the paper. So Google will notice that this paper should be, gettable first, right? So that's where you are enhancing your visibility, and that's where to enhance your visibility, we must need to communicate to the society that yes, my research has been already been accepted by the society, so you can also refer it. And that's where the chain is going to be in a multiple factors, and that's where you can enrich, you can enhance your research scores through the citations. And research assessment is already happen on various qualitative parameters, you know and that helps the institutions, funding bodies like funding agency I had already talked about. If it talks about social science and ICSSR, if it talks about biology, or life science, so there is ICMR, right? So there are various funding agencies depending upon this, which science, which streams, or which body you are depending upon, and where your research is contributing, right? So according to that, you have to approach to those agencies, and this agency will help you out to carry forward your research to the next level. And they are doing some assessment of your research proposal and research papers based on some qualitative and quantitative measures, right? And that's where you can approach your proposal in terms of major and minor research project fundings. You can, as I already mentioned, that you can focus your research papers into this kind of journals: Scopus, ABDC, Web of Science, Taylor and Francis, MDPI, InterScience. So these are the quality journals you can focus upon for your publications. Process to increase citations. So obviously, why researcher will cite your paper, why they will prefer, right? So only when your research is original, ethical, and societal accepted. And that's where they will also notice in your title that your title should not be too long or too short, but it should be to the point, up to the mark, with simple and short language, with the consideration of all the variables that you have already studied in the research paper. So that is where appropriate title should be justified. Justify your paper on fundamental front. So yes, by looking at your title, should I get all the parameters, all the variables in your objectives, hypothesis, data collections, analysis, and all such parameters? And that's where I can identify whether you are fundamentally correct in terms of drafting your paper and suggesting the findings and conclusion, which would be the beneficial to the society as a whole. And that's where I will prefer your paper if I found that your paper should be correct on all such parameters. Obviously, your content should be advanced and updated. Nobody's interested for the past research, because in the era of ICT and AI, the things are moving fast, the changes are going to be very wide, and that's where you have to be stay updated, you stay connected, if you want to stay into the market. And it's very important that you should stay connected, stay updated, and that's where you can enhance your visibility, enhance your knowledge, and that's where you can able to stay into the society of academics. Identify a good journal for your research work. Very, very important. You should know the domain area, and based on your domain area, you have to focus upon the quality of journal for publication. And in the quality journal, you must have to refer author's guideline to give a final drafting of your research papers. And then after, you must have to submit for the publications. Whenever you are looking for the quality journal for references, even to submit your paper, you must have to see the impact factors and indexes for the journals, right? Like Scopus, if you are looking for, so Scopus is Q1, Q2, Q3, and Q4. So right, so Q1 is very high quality journals, Q2 is somehow low, but although it is very high in terms of Q1 to Q2 journal, so it is little bit late, little bit down from Q1, but although Q2 journals are quite respectable. Q3 journal are respectable, but not up to level that Q1 is Q2, and Q4 is the last category of scopus. Although Q4 is also very, very important because below Q4, you have UGC cares, peer reviewed journals. So even Q4 is also acceptable, right? You can always start your journey with Q4 and nothing wrong in that part, right? To have a publication in Scopus is always going to be a prestigious aspect. And for that, you can always start from the lower grade. And there is nothing wrong in that part, right? But you must have to start at least. I hope I'm making sense. Is it clear?
Yes,
Complete?
sir. Clear,
Right,
clear. Sir.
right. So this is how you can look forward the citations and impact factors of Q1. Let's say this is Q1 journal. So I go to Schemago, and this is the name of journal. Even if you go for bibliometrics analysis, this journal is highest citable journal for the marketing. So those who are marketing people, right, they must see to it. And I must say that I am the reviewer of this journal. Right, almost I have done 6 reviews of this particular journal in my life. So this is highest citable journal, and I'm not joking on this part. But if you go to viewers, and if you go to the bibliometrics analysis based on general ranking and citations, you will find it out that Journal of Retailing and Consumer Behavior is the highest cited journals. That means the paper which has been published by this journal, for the researcher, are being highest cited by the market bibliometrics analysis. So this is how bibliometrics analysis and consumer behavior is showing for the, it is across the world that this journal is being noticed. So for that, you always see to it the title and keyword. So we have a long discussion. I'll not spare much time on this. Your title should be appropriate and up to the mark. And you always create your profile into various platforms like Researcher ID, academia.edu, Google Scholar, right? So that's where you can create your ID to get the citation. So here is the citation. Here is my H index. So this is how the citation does matters. How many papers have been cited today, right? My H index is 4, right? So this is how you can create your enhancing visibilities, in the society, right? You can also add your mobile number here. So if at all any researcher wants to contact you, they can always be in touch, right? So you always stay in touch with those person who knows the research, and that's where you can create your enhanceability. And if at all you want to start your research journey, you can always be. Orchid ID, very, very important. If you want to publish into your quality journal, so that is the agenda of today's talk is quality journals. So quality journals are always starting with Orchid ID. So if at all you don't have your Orchid ID, you cannot publish your paper into Scopus, ABDC, Web of Science journal. So very, very important that you should have your Orchid ID first. Then only you can proceed further for the publication. Okay. So that's it from my side. Any questions, if at all you have it, you can always ask me. I'm ready to answer. This is my contact number. In case of any query, you can always be in touch. I would be, pleased to answer you at this point. Yeah, any questions? Any questions to anyone?
Yes, participants, do you have any queries?
You can unmute yourself and ask. No need to raise a hand, please. Even during the session, I was asking the same thing.
No, sir, I don't have any query. Thank you so much.
No.
It was very
There are three
informative.
hands which has been raised. Geeta Singh, madam, Ganesh Pathode, sir, Ritesh Kumar.
Sir, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please, madam. Welcome.
Sir, can you guide me for that? If I have taken the combination of two, three research for my study,
Right.
I'm doing PhD. study, and if I have taken like three studies and I am going to compare all these studies, then what should be statistics to be done? What
It,
statistics to be shared?
what is our topic, first of all? Is
And
it on
and which will be my pilot study? I'm not
pilot
understanding.
study is basically, 10% of your total sample size that you are planning to study. Let's say if you are planning for 500 samples, you should start with 550 samples, and you have to try and test whether these samples are meeting to your requirement of reliability or not through the cron batch alpha, right? So if it is meeting, then you should proceed further for the further 450 collection of your samples. But if your reliability does not match, then you have to think, you remodify your samples, remodify your questionnaire, restart collecting the samples. Again, you have to do the pilot study, and then you are proving reliability. Then you can finish your data collection. That is the first aspect of pilot study. Second is if you are planning for quantitative analysis, so you have to frame a questions. You are you comparing the scenario in terms of before and after analysis? So what you are trying to compare? You have, please guide me so that accordingly I will answer.
I'll call you separately regarding this question. Can you allow me for that?
Yeah, please, no issue. But if at all you are making comparison, you have to make before and after analysis,
Analysis, sir.
right? Yeah, you can you can have approach personally as well. Yeah. Any other questions?
Sir, I have a question. How do you
Yes,
think
please.
we can increase the H index?
Citations. What is H index? So H index is your number of publications should be, let's say you have 10 publications. And out of that 10 publication, your 5 publication have been cited by all publication minimum 5 times. Then your H index should be 5. Clear? If you have 10 publication, but the cited publications are 7, but all the publications are not, each and every publications are not cited by 7 times minimum by all the researcher. One has been cited by 5, one has been cited by 4. So H index will consider the bare minimum number of time particular paper have been cited by the researcher. Clear? So that is
Yes,
called
sir.
H index.
Clear, got it.
Any more questions? So thank you so much, Research Foundation of India, Ajay sir, Saurabh sir, for inviting today. Thank you so much to lovely audience for participation and patient listening. And all the best for your research journey, right? And thank you, Neha madam, for coordinating today. I think you are a little bit low today, but still you are here to coordinate. Thank you so much for that also.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
So, as we bring today's session to a close, I wish to extend my heartfelt appreciation to all participants for your active engagement, enthusiasm, and invaluable contributions. A special acknowledgement goes to our esteemed speaker, Dr. Kunal Soni sir, for generously sharing his time and expertise with us. We also want to express our sincere gratitude to the organizing committee and sponsors whose support has been instrumental in making this program possible. With profound appreciation for everyone's dedication and involvement, we officially conclude today's session. Thank you so much.
Thank you all of you. Good night. Yeah.